Hello and welcome back to Wrong Mar. In today's English lesson, we're taking a look at a new spelling strategy. Our Let's Spell strategy for today is using mnemonics. Our Walt for today's lesson is to learn how to use the mnemonic spelling strategy to spell some unknown words. As we saw in the last spelling lesson, the English language is filled with exceptions to spelling rules. When you're young, you learn the sounds that different letters make when they come together. But this isn't really helpful in every situation. Sometimes we'll get words like these that don't follow the usual spelling rules. We need a different spelling strategy for these tricky words. You'll remember in the last lesson we took a look at the words within words strategy to help us with tricky words. Today we're going to try a new strategy. That is the make a mnemonic strategy. I know what you're thinking. I can't even spell the word mnemonic. How is it supposed to help me spell other words? Well, first let's have a look at what it actually is. A mnemonic is a short little sentence that uses the letters from your spelling word to help you remember which order they should come in. So you can see for the word said, I've made this mnemonic, snakes and insects dance. The first letter of each word, when I put them together, spells my spelling word of said. But how is this going to help me spell words? Well, the great thing about mnemonics is that you can make them up yourself. Sure, there are some famous mnemonics for remembering hard spellings, but it's really whatever helps you remember your spelling word. So while my mnemonic for said was snakes and insects dance, you could easily make up your own one, like Sam and I dance, or Sally Ann is dancing. There's an unlimited amount of sentences you can make with this spelling strategy. So how do we use it? Well, let's take a look at the steps we take when we're making a mnemonic to remember. The first thing we need is a tricky spelling word, one that doesn't follow the usual spelling rules. Let's take the word does. The first thing we're going to do is think of a word that starts with each letter in my spelling word. It might be helpful to write them out separately like this, kind of like an acrostic poem. When we're thinking of our words, we want to try and make it into a sentence that we're going to remember. So the mnemonic I came up with for this word was, does Oliver eat sausages? If you can, it's really helpful for the first word in your mnemonic to be your spelling word. This will really help you remember how to spell it. If your mnemonic is something silly or that you can picture really clearly in your head, it'll help you remember loads of them. So I actually have a cousin called Oliver. So this is really easy for me to remember because every time I see the word does, I think of my cousin Oliver eating sausages now. Now, when I need to spell this word, does, in the future, I just say in my head the sentence, does Oliver eat sausages? And I use the first letter from each of those words to spell the word. Easy. Now, you can only fit so many of these mnemonics in your head. So I recommend that you use them with your hardest, trickiest spelling words, the ones that you always get wrong. And it works with all sorts of words. Let's do this word together, the word special. It's a tricky spelling word. So, first step, we want to separate the letters out and think of some words that start with each letter in the spelling. Once we've done that, we want to try think of a silly sentence or one that's really clear in our mind that uses these letters at the start of the words. Can you pause the video now and see if you can come up with a mnemonic for the word special? Well, here's my one. Remember, if the picture is silly or if it is very clear in your head, it's going to be easier to remember the mnemonic that you need for the tricky word. So here's what I went for. I said, special pigs eat cake in a lake. Now I'm definitely not going to forget that picture in my head. What did you come up with? Now that you've gotten the hang of how to use this spelling strategy, it's time for you to make some mnemonics of your own. I'm going to show you a word, and I'll remind you of the steps, and I want you to try and make a mnemonic to help you remember how to spell these tricky words. Are you ready for your first one? Okay, here we go. So we've got the word which. So remember the steps. First, separate the letters in the word out. Then, try to think of a sentence that uses all of these letters at the start of each word. And remember, if the picture is silly or very clear in your head, it's going to be much easier to remember this mnemonic. When you're ready, pause the video and give this one a try. How did you get on? Could you think of a mnemonic that was easy to remember? Here's what I went for. Which horse is chasing Harry? So when I need to spell the word which, I think of this little sentence to help me. Let's try another one. The word is because, one of the most commonly misspelt words in some people's writing. So again, follow the 3 steps and see if you can make a mnemonic for the word because. Pause the video and give it a try. Well, how did you get on? Here's the mnemonic that I made. I said big elephants can always understand small elephants. This is one of those famous mnemonics that teachers teach all around the world. But you probably came up with one that's even easier for you to remember. Let's try one last word. The word people. Can you pause the video and write a mnemonic that helps you remember how to spell the tricky word people? Pause the video and give it a try. Well, here's what I got for my mnemonic. People everywhere often post little envelopes. And that's how I will remember the word people. So that's how we use the spelling strategy, make a mnemonic. Remember, a mnemonic is just like an acrostic poem that uses the letters in a tricky spelling. First, we separate out the letters in our spelling. Then we think of some words that we can put together into a sentence that will help us remember the tricky words. Use this strategy for your most commonly misspelled tricky words. When you're ready, you can try the practice activities down below. That's all we have time for today. Until next time, take care.